we also have a sauropod Apatosaurus depicted on ancient cylinder seal. This one, same again, you'll see the depiction on the screen. Sauropod Apatosaurus dinosaur depicted on ancient cylinder seal. An ancient Egyptian Mesopotamian cylinder seal dated at 3300 BC. Mutgard, Anton, The Art of Ancient Mesopotamia, 1969, plate 292, seems to be displaying sauropod or Apatosaurus-like dinosaurs. Now, if you take a look at the picture, you can take a look at the artist picture on the screen. It's a single. Now, on the right, if you're looking at the picture, you'll see it's a single Apatosaurus-like creature, which is an artist's conception from an Apatosaurus skeleton. Now, compare that to the ancient seal depiction on the left. So you'll see there's more than one on the left. The one on the right is for you to draw the comparison, and you see them got the heads entwined, whatever they do, they're mating or whatever, or in combat, whatever. But you can see the similarities between those creatures on the cylinder seal and the artist's depiction of an Apatosaurus. The similarities between these two depictions are very striking. The legs and feet on the Egyptian art seem to fit the sauropods better. Okay, if you just go onto Google, look at the sauropods pictures, there's lots of them on there. The head displays the biggest difference. The artist's depiction of the cartilage forming the shape of a frill or ears may be stylised to accurate, as there's no way to know from the skeletons we have today. The skill with which the Egyptian artist has captured the musculature of the animal is demonstrated with stunning realism. It must be asked, where did the artist, or how did the artist conjure up such an accurate image of what we today call dinosaurs? So the question must be asked, as I've asked similar questions throughout this, how could artists decorating an ancient Egyptian seal know what a dinosaur, sauropod, Apatosaurus looked like when dino skeletons have only begun to be assembled during the past 200 years, and we are told they died out over 60 million years ago. So that's the ancient Egyptian cylinder seal, sauropod Apatosaurus, dated 3300 BC. We have Adrian Mayer. Now, Adrian Mayer confesses that the evolutionary paleontologists dream up their theories for the answers to the secrets of the fossils. Okay, her book, Fossil Legends of the First Americans, has been approved by the Circle of the Evolution academic elite. The world-renowned Jack Horner was also consulted for her book. Does little dream about her. Okay, so now Adrian Mayer has said in this book, this hyperware dream state is called lucid dreaming or power dreaming by neuropsychologists. Paleontologists who trust their dreams about the meaning of fossils are perhaps not so unlike Native American discoverers of fossils during vision quests. Certainly paleontology, solving the mystery of stone creatures that will never be seen walking the earth, inspires dreams and theoretical narratives. Adrian Mayer, Fossils Legends of the First Americans, Princeton Press. So basically she is calling them legends, and they're trying to just explain all these sightings away. It must be noted also that Adrian Mayer claims the Native Americans dreamed up their witness accounts of dinosaur encounters. The evidence does not support her claims. The evidence clearly supports real eyewitness accounts, but it is great to see she admits the evolutionary paleontologists use and have used this dreaming method to draw up their lines of descent. So, excuse me. So she is admitting, and we all know the paleontologists conjure up and dream up when they're attempting to draw up transitionary fossils, etc., which aren't there. They make them up, and she's accepting that. So we also have another one from an ancient urn, a Mosasaurus, depicted on ancient urn. Mosasaurus, dinosaur sea creature. Now, it would come into literalism concerning dinosaurs and etc. I mean, you wouldn't literally call a mosasaur a dinosaur because it'd be classed as a sea creature, but they are still put in there, and people you know, would, even though technically they're not classed as a dinosaur, but they would have claimed they've died out 60 to 70 million years ago. And the question needs to be answered again is, well, why is a Mosasaurus depicted on an ancient urn? Mosasaurus depicted on ancient urn. So how come there is a Mosasaurus-like creature depicted on an urn which is approximately 2,500 years old? Picture across the screen again. Take a close look at the picture attached. An ancient urn from Caria, which was located in Asia Minor, Turkey. The artifact is dated from 530 BC, that's 2,500 years ago. We see on the urn pictures of several known sea creatures, a seal, octopus and dolphin. But more interestingly, we see what appears to be a Mosasaurus. The characteristics of the sea creature, with the positioning of the jaws, big eyes, large teeth and flippers, clearly match a Mosasaurus skeleton very well. If you take a look at the artist's drawing of a Mosasaurus, you will not fail to see the resemblance. Okay, the question must be asked, I'll say it again with all the other ones, 2,000 years ago, how could the artist decorating a 2,500-year-old urn know what a Dinosaurus, sea creature, aquatic lizard, Mosasaurus look like, when dinosaur skeletons have only begun to be assembled during the past 200 years, and we are told they died out over 60 million years ago. Hypothetical years, by the way. Never seen years. So, again, a Mosasaurus, like all the others, you know, we need to look at these, and it's not just one which could be explained away. There are many of them. We also got flying winged reptile serpents. Now this was recorded by the Greek historian Herodotus. Now these are people who are known as great historians. You know, we take note of everything else they say and apply them as legitimate historical accounts. So why is it we seem to have problems when we're taking into account when they describe what we would call dinosaurs, large terrible lizards, dragons, serpents? Why is that? It's because, as I said at the beginning, that we have a framework, an evolutionary framework we're trying to fit all this evidence into, or the evolution is trying to fit all this evidence into, and they just dismiss it because it doesn't fit the paradigm, it doesn't fit the framework, it doesn't fit the worldview, and it can't possibly be true. Herodotus must be wrong, Pliny the Elder must be wrong, you know, the other Marco Polo must be wrong. So we need to look at these and be honest with ourselves and not think that everything our ancient ancestors recorded was just myth, and where they were less intelligent than us because they weren't. You know, we can look throughout human history just to demonstrate that we're not as less as intelligent as us. You need to look at the pyramids. They built great structures. They were wonderfully talented architects, designers, builders, historians, and they recorded for us accounts of creatures that they were amazed at themselves. These creatures were something to behold, something which were worth recording. So flying winged reptile serpents, account recorded by Greek historian Herodotus. The Greek historian Herodotus, 48 BC to 45 BC, who's known as the father of history in Western culture, wrote and recorded after investigation accounts told him of flying winged reptiles. These flying winged serpents' wings are not described as having feathers. They're not feathers, okay? No feathers. They're not feathers, okay? Before someone says, oh, the feathers. They were not described, winged serpents' wings are not described as having feathers, but resemble the wings of the bat. They resemble the wings of the bat. He also witnessed for himself the death debris of these creatures. Heaps of bones and spines piled high. A mass graveyard of winged serpents, reptiles. No feathers, wings described in the same structures, on the same textures, etc. as bats. They went out of the way to explain that. They were saying, these aren't birds. These are not birds. These are something else. Quote, the region in which the spines are scattered upon the ground is of the nature of an entrance from a narrow mountain pass to a great plain, which plain adjoins the plain of Egypt, end quote. Quote, and the story goes that at the beginning of the spring, winged serpents from Arabia fly towards Egypt, and the birds called abysses meet them at the entrance of this country, and do not suffer the serpents to go by, but kill them. On account of this deed, it is, say the Arabians, that the ibis has come to be greatly honoured by the Egyptians, and the Egyptians also agree that it is for this reason that they honour these birds. So there we have serpents. Serpents, obviously winged creatures, were obviously causing problems, and so the Egyptians were pleased that these other birds were taking them down, and they would honour them. End quote there. Quote, as for the serpents, its form is like that of the water snake, and it has wings, not feather, but mostly nearly resembling the wings of the bat. Let so much suffice as has been said now concerning sacred animals. And this is all found in the History of Herodotus, Part 2, 75 and 76. I'm sure you can Google it. In fact, I've got the link, Gen1Reb22 blogspot.com. Go onto the page, put in dinosaurs at the top left hand search bar, and you will come to the dinosaur pages, and you can click on the links, and they should be working. Hopefully they are. I think they are. I won't click on them now. So there we have Herodotus giving an in-depth account of large winged reptile serpents, and going out of his way to record them, like I say, because they would have been amazed themselves at them. So I think that will end today's this video's examples. Like I say, I've done part 1, check it out. I'll do part 3. And I think we can see from those depictions they can't be explained away like Mayer and Carl Sagan and others attempt to do. Some kind of evolutionary memory which was passed on. It's just like they say themselves, you know, it's just these things need to be observable, and they're not observable, they're not scientific, they've just made up so stories to do away with, or because they're in denial, because they know the timeline of evolution needs millions and billions of years. So, and dinosaurs are required in order to uphold their millions of years. And they need the million years, and not only that, they use dinosaurs to draw in children into the evolutionary worldview. And they wouldn't be able to use the dinosaurs in their evolutionary worldview if it demonstrates, which it has been, that dinosaurs have lived alongside man. It would just do away with it all. As Lewis Jacobs said, you know, if it could be demonstrated that dinosaurs and man lived alongside each other, then the whole evolutionary timeline and years is, they're going to have to rethink, like they've had to do lots of times, and reframe everything, but they won't admit it, as I've already said. So thanks for listening, and hopefully you'll enjoy and check out for yourselves what is in this video. I'd just like to finish on how the evolutionary worldview works. There's on the website, one of the blogs is called The Storyteller. Now, evolutionary worldview needs storytelling. Charles Darwin himself was a storyteller. He loved telling stories to his family. It's recorded as he was a storyteller. He had a wonderful imagination. We can see that from his theory, you know, in his books, and what he came up with, the extrapolation of what he came up with, you know, from variation within species, etc. And we extrapolated that it would eventually lead to, you know, from a microbe to a microbiologist, from common ancestry. I'm not saying a microbe turned into a microbiologist, but I'm saying that there is the tree of life, evolutionary tree of life, where we've got common ancestry, and you can trace it all back. You know, this is pure imagination, and Charles Darwin loved telling stories, and so do evolutionists and the evolutionary proponents. You know, a vivid imagination is the needed speciality for a successful evolutionary theory writer. Stories that require little thought in the mind of the hearer are the tools used to dupe the masses. Just enough technical information is passed on so as to give some credibility to the story. You know, we can identify ancestors or missing links, and we cannot devise testable theories to explain how particular episodes of evolution came about. This is Guy and Peter Bowler, in his review of Deep Time by Henry Guy, says that Guy is adamant that all the popular stories about how the first amphibians conquered the dry land, how the birds developed wings and feathers for flying, how the dinosaurs went extinct, and how humans evolved from apes are just products of our imagination, driven by prejudices and preconceptions. And this is Peter Bowler, review of In Search of Deep Time by Henry Guy, Free Press, 1999, American Scientist, 88, 169, March to April 2000. So, as I've said, storytelling is needed.